islands and floating islands, the humble Irish dresser is still, for many, the real heart of the kitchen.
Yes, folklore expert Michael Fortune, he's travelled the length and breadth of the country documenting traditional kitchen dressers, uncovering fascinating stories and social history in the process. He's here now today with one of his own dressers. Michael, it's great to have you back on the show with us.
Coming in.
Great, thanks.
And Goramila, and Fisher, Bog Bijak, it's so cute. There was a dresser in every house. Now, this is a very small dresser, I would say, compared to the ones that we've had at home. But there was a dresser in every house in the olden days.
Yeah, every house had a dresser, from farm labourers to farmers to big farmers to the big houses. They all had a dresser, and I suppose as they became kind of more redundant in time, I suppose they became more precious. The ones who hung on to them kind of hung on to them and kept them there. But then I found that a lot of people who had them and lost them, or just life moved on, they always go back to the dresser. Yeah. And I suppose it sparks memories. It sparks memories for them, I suppose.
Yeah, and in one sense, Mike, when you went into a house and you saw the dresser, it was kind of the best side of them on show, wasn't it?
You're right.
Absolutely, and it's funny, you see with people when they want to get a photograph taken, if you look back at old photographs, where is the child standing? Where is the relation coming back from England standing? They're all standing in front of the dresser.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. It really that's a really cute. And you were saying to us just before we came on that size of a dresser, which is quite small, came out of like a fisherman's cottage.
Yeah, it came out of a cottage here in Wexford, on the coast of Wexford. It belonged to a woman called Agnes Keneally, and I brought it with me today because it could fit in my car.
Yeah.
I have bigger dressers, but there's something lovely about it, and people love the bright colours and the very simple form. And one thing I've noticed as well, everywhere you went around the country, there's different designs and different styles, almost like different accents.
I didn't even realise that. But you know what, Michael, you've been documenting over the last couple of years the Irish dresser in this fabulous calendar. Now, the woman on the calendar, tell me about her. This is the cover.
Yeah, this is a cover. This was out in Galway, in Connemara, Nora Lydon's dresser. And it was a fantastic dresser because it was the pride and joy. It's one of those classic dressers that's almost like a museum piece, almost like a shrine. Everything on it is immaculate and perfect.
Everything in its place.
Look at that there. Look at that dresser. Run and get a shot there. Look at that. Isn't that just perfect? Now, Michael, you travelled down there to meet her when you took the photo and all that, but you also interviewed her. I think we have a little clip here.
Good, yeah.
They were wedding presents like we got in 1955. We got married.
They're the top ones.
Yeah.
And you got them, and they're still new looking as they were, let's say, the day you got them.
There wasn't much tea drank out of them anyway.
So it's like a little museum to you.
That's it now. But see, I suppose I'm the only one of the family, and these are the things you hold on to when you don't have anyone else. I don't know what it is. I'm a hoarder, I think.
The pride there, Michael, can't you?
Oh, it's unreal, Dahi. Yeah, absolute the pride, and even around the house. Like, I record videos because you can't remember, you can't write it down fast enough.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to hear the person's voice and their accent and them. And I always find as well, there's a different energy when they're literally touching something, and memory will spark back to them. Yeah. I remember people in Mum Mayo touching a dresser with Father Murphy on it, and she says anytime my father touched that jug, he'd start to sing Boule of Vogue. And just because it triggered that memory, you know, that memory is
amazing.
Yeah.
I never heard this before, but you interviewed somebody, I think we have a clip now in 2 minutes, 2 seconds, but this woman, she was talking about the dresser. Yeah. And actually, the chickens were put in there for what's ongur in English?
A gory hen.
When the chicken is sitting on the eggs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It should be setting.
Setting. Ergur. Wait, ergur. Yeah. So setting. So tell us about this lady just before we show you the piece of footage.
Yeah. There was a whole tradition. I remember my mother talking about it in home. When I see nowadays, I suppose the hen was a valuable little thing. Like, was my grandmother, everything, and also give people money this time of year coming to Christmas. Yeah. There was pin money. So women would raise maybe a goose or a turkey or hens, and the poor old hen now, you didn't want the fox taking her, so you'd bring the hen in and you'd throw her into the dresser. And I've come across it up and down the country. Now sometimes you'll see them in museums at this stage, but I couldn't believe I'd met this one woman who remembered it and had the dresser still, and she did clay floor was there, and when she opened up the doors had little metal bars on them, and she remembers the hen sitting in there, and then when the hen would come out, then she'd pick around the floor, the clay floor,
and the chickens would come out after
and go back in again, do their business and go back in again.
Let's take a listen to this lady.
Well, it's here for years and years, and if you wanted anything, you went to the dresser to get it. And there was hens sitting down here in the bottom. There.
Do you remember the hen sitting?
I do.
Could you show me where they were sitting?
In here.
So when you were a little one, you remember the hen sitting in there?
Yeah, and in the daytime there was a mesh to let the light in, and at night time this was closed over, and there's a hole for the air, and there.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my God,
That
I
was Liz
love
Ryan
this.
from Wexford.
Yeah, Davidstown, the leap in Davidstown. As if you told someone that you had a hen inside setting, they'd laugh at you.
They wouldn't believe you. But years ago, Michael, they had pigs and everything inside it, didn't they? Inside near the fire.
They did, absolutely. And I've seen sketches from the 1800s of poor creators, poor creators living in all they had, and the pig would be inside and with the bonds keeping the house warm.
Because when we were children, when we had goats, and when they'd be born in the early spring, I say January, February, freezing, and the goat sometimes wouldn't accept them or whatever, they could nearly die, they'd be very small. Dad would take them in a cardboard box and put them in front of our fire, and there they would be brought up for a few weeks until they got strong enough to let them back out. Hand fed with our baby bottles. And we got the job to do. Like seriously, this is in my time. This is like in the 70s into the 80s. You know, we did that.
But it just shows we're not too far away from
We're a second away from it. Michael, your favourite dresser?
Oh, come here. One of my favourite dressers is the story, I suppose. There's so many old dressers, Maura, I'd be documented in the 1800s, and there'd be gorgeous designs. But there's one dresser, it's more the story really. There was a woman up in Mayo called Mags Joyce a couple of years ago. I was up in her recording her, and she showed me this lovely Mayo dresser painted red and green. And the thing was, her grandmother had a son, and if I had a family, and this son emigrated from America, and she went off to America for work, and as soon as he arrived, wasn't he conscripted into the American army and went off to Korea, and the poor chap was killed in an accident. And the American government gave back money, and the grandmother at the time went along and bought out the farm land and a house, but she went into Westport and she bought herself a dresser. And on the back of the dresser, the story always stuck with me, she had a little slip of paper with the date and the time and all when she went in.
Look at it there.
Of the dresser, that's it there, yeah. I couldn't believe it. But it was lovely.
£16.
My goodness.
Wow, unbelievable altogether. Oh, that is story. Michael, do you know what, that reminds me of there, because years ago, the only time we'd go into other people's houses really was the Rand's Day, when you go around and you go into some of the older people, right? And you go into them, right? They'd call you in and they'd go over to the dresser, and there was always money inside in the cups hanging up. Remember that?
Yes, there had money, you're right.
There was always money. You'd always see them going for the cups because that's what the change was.
And they'd give you little things.
They'd give you 20 pence or 10 pence that time. Like.
You'd hear the rattle of it, Dahi.
You would.
You would. And it's funny, those two little jars on the side belonged to my grandmother, and I never changed them. Inside the little marmalade and jam ones, inside those there, she's got little bits of blessed palms, and sometimes they take a stone from a grave, or maybe a little medal, or little buttons. They're in there still. I didn't bother touching them, I left them there.
That's stunning.
Yeah.
And the bridges cross as well.
Yeah, little Galway cross up there in the middle there. A man from Galway gave for me, a man called Jim Gavin up in Galway. But it's funny, and there's another great thing as well to notice about the dressers as well, especially when you find a dresser that's still being used in a house like you described, Dahi. I remember being in different parts of the country, and I'd say, can I ask you a question? I said, if I open up that left drawer, will I find knives and forks? I knew it. I said, I'll open up and I'll find it. And I said, if I open up that right drawer now, will I find a tin of shoe polish and a clothes brush and maybe a pack of cards? And they go, how did you know that?
Yeah.
You're the same in everyone.
Same in every house.
Michael, brilliant. Thanks so
Michael.
much for coming in, Michael, and sharing that with us. It's wonderful. You've done us a great service. And of course, it is the 2026 Irish Dresser and Folklore calendar, because it's not just about the dresser. You got the bit of history going on in there as well. It's fabulous, and you can find it on Folklore.ie, where you can find lots of folklore, of course, because that's Michael's website, and you can get the calendar there as well. Gurmil, Michael. Thanks so much.
Thanks a million.
Now, across the country,